What makes for a great session for you?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. I feel if, number one, we feel like it's more conversational. And then number two, we end with this, that basically the episode will be something that people walk away with, like something they learned that makes them maybe want to do something different after they listen to it. Maybe it encouraged them, maybe it inspired them, or maybe they got a new tool, whatever it is. I mean, them walking away from that to me is like success. And all of us just feeling a little bit more powerful, and especially hearing about, I don't know, these amazing women. If they can do it, we can do it, and anything's possible.
Awesome.
And new relationships. That's also the other thing. I think everybody that we've had on, like Deb, I met her through Mariah, and now I feel more connected to her, and we feel all connected. They've met people, and so I think it's kind of beautiful in that way. It's just like a slow grow of the community. Yeah.
Beautiful. How about for you? Maybe a quick round.
Learning something from you. You know, I'm mid-career, I would say, 37, so I have a lot to learn still. Learning, growing, maturing. But the connection piece, I think, is the biggest part for me.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the HumanizeHer podcast. I'm your host, Erica Lockheimer.
And I'm your co-host, Elizabeth.
Today on the HumanizeHer podcast, we're so excited to sit down with someone who truly raises the bar when it comes to entrepreneurship, leadership, and career empowerment, Kirthiga Reddy. Kirthiga is someone whose career is filled with groundbreaking firsts. She was the very first employee and managing director of Facebook India, where she built and scaled that office from the ground up. She went on to make history as the first female investing partner at SoftBank's $100 billion Vision Fund, one of the largest technology funds in the world. She's been recognized by Fortune as one of India's most powerful women, and she holds an MBA from Stanford. You also would have seen her many times on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Today, Kirthiga is the CEO and co-founder of Verix, a company setting the standard for trust, community, and verification in the age of AI. And we're especially grateful to her and her team because Verix is also powering the verification of every single attendee and sponsor at our annual HumanizeHer event. But beyond her impressive titles and accolades, Kirthiga is also a dear friend of mine. She's someone who leads with authenticity, champions diverse leaders, and continues to break barriers. Let's dive in. Kirthiga, how are you?
So excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
And the quiz that I did as I came in was pretty special as well.
You got to meet all these amazing women.
Good.
Yeah, you did good. Yeah.
Most of the women on the wall.
Yeah, and a fun fact we'll share later, but she interviewed all of us and took over the show for a little bit. So that's
so fun.
It was super fun. So wait for that. But this is the type of person that Kirthiga is. She's always been an innovator. She's always developed new things on the fly. I mean, I met her also when we worked at Good Technology in the early days and the mobile era days before Android and iPhone existed. And that's how I met you. But I want people to get to know a little bit more about you, a little bit of history. This is HumanizeHer. We need to know who you are as a human. So if you can share a little bit of your background story, and then we'll get into the meat of all the beautiful things that you've done.
Yeah, I look forward to sharing that. And as you talked about our stint at Good Technology, it reminded me that we actually had the patent for over-the-air upgrade of a mobile device.
That's right.
You know, before that, it was BlackBerry, and you actually had to wire your device in order to get upgrades. And again, we had the patent for that. And today, your car gets over-the-air upgrade. And it's incredible how far technology has come, and it's only accelerating. And we've all been at the forefront of that acceleration, and a strong proponent of women being in tech early and really leading the change. Excited to be here. My journey.
Yes.
Builder at heart, grew up in India, and did my engineering because that's what society tells you to do, where my teacher said, you know, you have many options. You can either be an engineer, a doctor, or a total failure.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of options.
It sounds fantastic. You're set up for success.
Goodness.
So I applied for both my medical entrance exam and my engineering entrance exam. I got into engineering, and I feel fortunate that I fell in love with engineering, and I just find it magical to go from a problem statement to applying technology to solve it. So my next decision was a more conscious decision where I went to my parents and said, I want to do my master's in engineering in the United States. To which my father beamed and said, this will be a matter of pride for the family. The first time someone in the family is going to go abroad, I will figure out finances, take a loan, make sure we make that happen. And my mother beamed and said, very supportive, just one small condition: get married and then do whatever you want to do. And so started the search for the perfect groom. Those days, versions of OkCupid, well-educated, good family, and must be in the United States. I feel fortunate that in that whole process where I met my husband for one chaperone dinner, it was me, my husband, and his sister, at the end of which we came back, told our respective parents that we wanted to get married to each other. We celebrated our 30th anniversary last year. It was child marriage. Okay, I'm not that old, but no, just kidding.
Congratulations. It's a big deal. It's not easy being married 30 years.
They say choose your heart. Staying single is hard. Being married is hard. Choose your heart, and go double down and commit to it. And I'd go one step forward and say, don't just choose your heart, but embrace your heart and find the joy in your heart. And so whatever it is, by the way, again, going back to technology, keeping abreast of technology is hard. Getting behind in technology is hard. Embrace your heart and find the joy in your heart. Wow. So fast forward, that's what brought me to the United States and my engineering career, building there. Then the business side, that's where I met Erica, where after business school at Stanford, I joined a mobile software startup, Good Technology. And from there on, the business career and the remaining set of roles that Erica spoke about.
Yeah, and then you got your MBA when you had your baby, or you just
I
did.
Yeah,
remind me the timeline of that.
Yeah,
that was pretty interesting too.
So I was a director of engineering at Silicon Graphics, which, by the way, was those days' version of OpenAI. Everybody wanted to be at Silicon Graphics, and rose quickly through the career ladder, if you may. And I would say that journey was very influenced by one philosophy that my first manager shared. First managers are so critical. Anyone who's a manager and you have people reporting to you, how much you shape their journey is pretty incredible. So she told me, Kirthiga, focus on the success of your customers, on your organization and your team, and your success is a byproduct. And that was a pretty fundamental framework for me, because then it actually gave me a formula for how I could be more successful. I just had to focus on making my customers more successful, my organization and my team, and my success would be a byproduct. It almost externalized what I needed to do, and made job descriptions irrelevant because I just had to do what I had to do. And also gave me the power of voice, of using my voice for what mattered, because I was doing it for a particular reason. It was not about me. It was about the cause. So I'd say that drove that. Loved the business side of what you get to deal with as you rise up in your career. Wanted to hone that further, and that led to my move to Stanford. So, and 3 months later, I was pregnant with my first child. How did that happen? Well,
how that happened.
Well, there's a lot of multiple ways that it can happen.
Ways that can happen. Yes. Okay. But so the story there is, for the first few years after we were married, we were not ready to have a child. And then the next few years, I postponed it for the smallest reason. I have to go to a wedding. I can't be pregnant. I have to go to a conference. Of course, I can't be pregnant. And then when we decided we were ready, we learned that just because you decide it's ready, you're ready, it doesn't always just happen.
Yep.
So both my girls were through IVF treatment, which for those listeners who don't know is a fertility treatment. And I feel very grateful for technology, for the gift of motherhood. So I was pregnant a quarter into business school, and we were delighted. My daughter was born exactly a year after business school. It was a summer. I remember I was at my last day of class. I was watching the clock. and I was feeling my contractions. And I went to the hospital after that. I walked to the hospital because we were on Stanford campus, and my doctor said, "You're 4 centimeters dilated. Please get checked in."
Wow.
And so she was born the next day. I've told my professor, who I met years after, saying, that was the last day I was watching the clock. And he tells me, I've had students tell me that they've watched the clock for many, many reasons. But watching the clock for contractions is probably the first one who has told me that. But Erica and Elizabeth, I'll also tell you that I partied more after she was born than before.
Yeah.
Because she would be awake anyways at 1, 2 p.m. in the night. And so why not? Even today, Ashna, my older one, can sleep through any amount of noise. And I do credit that to all of the parties that she went to when she was really young.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. And what a story. Yeah, watching the clock.
Fun mom.
I know. Yeah, Kirthiga is a lot of fun.
I walked on the stage. I walked with her, and she had a little graduation cap and gown
super cute.
herself,
That's
and it's
so
super
cute.
cute.
Do you have it framed? I hope so.
It's not framed, but I do have a digital version of it, and I do have a copy
my
of it
goodness,
as
that's so
well.
cute.
It's so cute.
So you were on stage graduating with your daughter and your plaque. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, it's special. I remember Dean Joss telling me when I walked with her on stage, saying, congratulations. And he said, the only thing I want to remind you is if your daughter decides to go to her MBA later on in life, that she doesn't apply for exemption for core classes because she was in class while you were pregnant. I said, okay, I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Technically, they already walked the stage.
Yeah, she walked the stage, so
There
she
you
might
go.
get somewhat of an opportunity there. Oh my goodness, that's so. But I'm sure you didn't see many pregnant women or many women on stage, holding a baby, You were one of the very few, or if only one, probably. I'm sure.
And Erica and Elizabeth, you don't know how many times I get asked. I actually got asked by someone at Facebook recently about them telling me, I really want to pursue an MBA, but I also really want to have a child. Which one do I choose? And then I look at them and I say, why is that a choice? If you want both, you can actually do both. And it's, while I there's the whole, can women have it all, not have it all? I fall under the camp of, actually, there is more ands than you might think possible. And I often talk about the superpower of the and versus the tyranny of the or, in that many times things are presented at this or that. But like in this example, if you really want to do both, there is a way for you to do both. Again, not always an and, but many times if you apply some innovative thinking and use the power of community and the power of the village around you, there are ways to use that superpower. So use that superpower whenever you can.
I love that. And it may not be perfect. You may have to give up some other things. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've always wanted to do both. There was times I questioned myself, but I always was like, outsource everything as much as I can to your village, your family. We're in fortunate situations to be able to do that. But look around and outsource everything but love. I mean, that has always been the thing. It's like, spend time with your kids, do all these things, but like get the help if you can, and you can figure out and do the end. There's a way. You got to be innovative. You got to think about it a bit.
100%.
Yeah. So Stanford is also very special to your heart. Education is as well. And that's something you're continuing with Stanford. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you're helping in that direction?
Sure. When people often ask me, Kirthiga, what drives you? What makes you do what you do? The memory that I always have, or the first picture that comes to my mind, is that of my mother, where my mother did not have the opportunity to finish her high school education because her parents said, you only need enough math to do the grocery bill. Okay? Because why would a girl child need to know any more math than to do the grocery bill? By the way, her brother got a postgraduate degree so it wasn't that they didn't know the value of education, but
The value for her to have it was
was
different.
very
Women's
different.
place
Very
was
different.
elsewhere,
Yeah.
not in school.
And there are a lot of countries, including India, which is still very paternalistic, where the first dollars go to, do we have enough money to educate the boy child, get them a cell phone, and it's then that the girl child comes into play. So it's still very much the case. So when I think about that, and then I think about the opportunity that I have had, I attribute it to education, and I attribute it to the opportunities that I have had. And so it becomes a very important part of, the paid off forward and in terms of wanting to give back. I chaired the Stanford Business School Management Board. I'm on the board of trustees of Syracuse University, which is my master's in engineering. I'm still very closely associated with my alma mater back in India. Was on the advisory board for Teach for India US. So it's a big area of passion and a strong believer in education being a fundamental unlock to opportunity and to economic growth. Yeah.
Thank you for continuing to do that. It's very powerful. We need it. Thank you.
All,
It's part of you. It's who you are. Yeah.
It's a way to give back too.
And I love, Erica, your journey and all that you do for San Jose State University and your journey being a first-gen college educated grad. And you just recently got an incredible honor on stage.
Yeah. Thank you. Visionary Award. So, and then doing all of this. But it's speaking of pivots, it's, I'm grateful for those opportunities, but it comes through experiences and challenges where you want a better outcome for other people, including your community, including your family and others. So with that, you've had an amazing career, talking about being the first employee for India and director and, starting that office, and then SoftBank, and then now your own opportunity of starting a company, Veric. So you went from corporate to being an entrepreneur. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you made that transition? What tools did you get at some of the other companies to then start Verix? And then what is Verix doing? And how's it going now? Then Verix is, I'll let you share what Verix is, authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah. So what drove the different changes? One, I think I have this tendency of looking at the hardest thing I haven't done and that has meaning and has large impact and jumping right into it. And I fully believe my best is yet to come. And I am at my steepest learning curve, which is a great thing to say. Several decades in my career. And Erica Elizabeth, when we meet 20 years from now, I will still tell you that I'm in my steepest learning curve and my best is yet to come. So there you go.
I love that. I love it too. That is great.
So what drove the changes? Facebook India saw the country go digital and mobile. India had less than 100 million people on the internet at that time for a country of 1.3 billion people. Today it has over 800 million people. And all of this is not in a matter of 20, 30 years. We're talking about a little over a decade. So that's the pace at which the country changed. And it was tremendous to play a role in building Facebook during that time of staggering change and really playing a part of the country going digital and mobile. So did that. Came back when the girls were starting high school and middle school. We said as much fun as we were having in India, if we ever had to come back, that was the time to come back. By the way, they both told us we are ruining their lives by bringing them from India to the United States. Because, they went when they were 3 and 5, and now they were coming back as a teenager and a wannabe teenager. So that was a life that they knew.
Wannabe teenager.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. That's a big switch for them at that time.
Totally.
So you went to the U.S. for education, and then then you jumped to
Then
India.
I jumped back.
to India.
So after good technology, so after business school, good technology got acquired by Motorola. It was with Motorola that I went back to India.
Okay.
With my 2 girls who were then 3 and 5, wonderfully supportive husband. Thought we were going for a year and a half. Loved being back in India, saw the start of the internet, wanted to be part of nation building. I then got an introduction to Sheryl Sandberg through a business school classmate, said, love Facebook, would love to play a role building Facebook in India. We explored a few different roles then, and it was, and said, let's keep in touch for the right role. And it was a year and a half later that Facebook announced its intention to open its office in India. Brutal interview process. Was humbled to have the opportunity to be the first employee for Facebook in India and build our operations there. So did that. The year and a half became 8 years. I had the opportunity to meet Erica in India.
Oh, that's
when
right.
she was with LinkedIn.
It was
Women in Tech?
Yeah, it was Women in Tech, and we wanted to have it go global. And so we went to India. And this was like there's some videos still on YouTube, but I started posting on YouTube and Facebook, like, oh my gosh, I'm in
Running
India.
across the
Look,
street?
running across the street. Oh my gosh, there's cows on the street. Oh my gosh. And I'm posting everything like, on a scooter with a big, boxes. And so she was
dangerous,
I
too, what
know,
you were
but she
doing.
was in India at the time when I didn't know. And she messaged me right away. She's like, "You're in India." And she's like, I'm having it. It's hilarious listening to you. She's like, "Do you want to go and have dinner?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wait, you were watching her stuff on YouTube or something?
No, on Facebook, I was updating
okay.
because we were friends for so long. And so because I was like, "This is amazing." Yeah. So she's like,
Oh, awesome.
yeah, it was funny. Yeah. It was random.
Many pounds lighter I was, but yes,
Well,
that's
that
another
happens to
story.
all of us. You look fantastic.
Well, thank you. So talking about transitions, right? So came back to India, from India to the United States when the girls were starting high school, middle school. It's, of course, 8 years now since the time that they told me that I'm ruining their lives. They don't tell me that anymore. Maybe 8 years from now, maybe they'll thank us, but we're not holding our breath for that.
We're all holding our breath for that. Yeah.
And for me, big thing about transition is truly about how much am I learning and how much of an impact I'm making. And 8 years into Meta, I began to feel, just the pace of learning impact, and left Facebook thinking I was going to go be a CEO at an early stage startup. And by the way, what I first did was I took a 3-month all life, no work break. And it's something I fully recommend, these mini breaks for people at different stages in their careers, if they have the opportunity to financially be able to afford it and to, even from an immigration status perspective, be able to do that. Because so two things happened. One, I was feeling that sense of learning impact. And then in one of the Facebook conferences, I heard they were talking about augmented reality, virtual reality. And the speaker said, in the United States, 95% of your FaceTime with your child is done by the time they go to college. And hence, you need augmented reality, virtual reality solutions. My heart, of course, stopped at the first part of that sentence, about 95% of my FaceTime being done with my child by the time they go to college, because I had 2 more years before my oldest goes to college. And in all of the pace of business, building business, I started waking up to that stat and saying, oh my God, I have 1 day less, I have 1 day less. So both from where I wanted to go career-wise and to also wanting to spend time with my family in a way that I haven't, I wanted to take an all-life, no-work break. And by the way, some of my best well-wishers told me, Kirthiga, don't do that. Get another role. You're losing all of your negotiating leverage if you leave your job and then figure out your next role.
If you have a gap in
If I have a gap in between. And while certainly it's true that if for women who take longer breaks, that it is hard to get back. And the stats show that if you're going to take a short break, and my goal was to take a 3-month break, truly, you just need that time. Also, after the intensity of almost 8 years at a really intense role, you need that time to uncompress, to think. So I said to my well-wisher that I don't think I'm losing my career high. And even if I did, I'd much rather look back and regret missing a career high than regret having this time with my family. And sure enough, those 3 months gave me the time, one, to just transition from a very intense 8 years, spend time with my girls and my husband in a way that I hadn't before. And part of that also opened up new opportunities. I started investing. Myself and 6 other female Facebook executives, we started a angel fund called F7. So it was a seed fund. It was our own pool capital that has then since become an institutional fund led by 2 incredible women, Joanna and Kelly. And part of that led me to conversations with investors who then that conversations became, hey, would you invest full time with us? So while I left SoftBank and I left Facebook and I thought I was going to be an early stage CEO or COO, I ended up then becoming the first female investment partner at SoftBank Vision Fund, one of the largest tech funds in the world with $130 billion under management.
Talk about a smart move, Kirthiga.
Yeah. And I don't think it would have happened if I hadn't had that break.
Had that break.
Yeah,
you
have
see
that clarity.
Different things.
The clarity, to your point, to see different things.
The minimum check size was $100 million. I deployed $1 billion for them across fast evolving sectors, quantum computing, additive manufacturing, their first mental health investment, enterprise, gaming, blockchain. Saw companies go public, went to the New York Stock Exchange a few times with those portfolio companies, and then a few times for just major initiatives that I was leading.
How many times have you been at the New York Stock Exchange?
Too. I gotta know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've seen so many pictures, and then one time you asked me to go, and I was like, of course I want to ring in that bell. That is awesome.
And we should get that picture. Erica is right at the center. Yeah. She is literally at the center of the New York Stock Exchange. It's this beautiful, gorgeous red dress. I will always remember. We should share that picture again.
We might have been sending messages back and forth.
As well. Absolutely. So I have had the opportunity to be part of the New York Stock Exchange bell ringing. I've visited the New York Stock Exchange for multiple business reasons as well, but 5 times. And NASDAQ once. 3 of those were for my portfolio company IPOs, including the first quantum computing investment that we made, IonQ. And then once I had the opportunity to go ring the bell in honor of International Equality Day. And that's when we had Erica come as well. And talking about gaps, we wanted to shed a light on the maternity gap, where we have a 39% drop-off mid-career. And what is it that we're going to do to stem that? Maternity bias is the largest gender bias of them all. And so how do we tackle that? So I was there for that. And then once more while we were celebrating Entrepreneurship Day. And I brought creators and influencers. And so, Erica, you would fit right in there once more.
Thank you. I'm
and an influencer.
Say yes to that.
Yes. But Erica, and I was there for my SPAC. We're part of an all-woman SPAC management team, and we were there ringing the IPO bell as the first all-female, all-immigrant management team. And that one actually, each one of them was special. That one was a moment I will never forget, because we had my mother who didn't have the opportunity to finish her high school education. She joined in over Zoom. And so here she was at the New York Stock Exchange with her daughter and her granddaughters ringing the New York Stock Exchange bell. And that was really a very special and very surreal moment.
Beautiful. What an incredible experience that you were able to provide for your mother and also your girls. And I like that you then had this platform, and that's how you decided to use it and raise awareness for women and all that. So kudos to you. And if you need any help from anybody on this team to ring the bell, we're all in, Kirthiga. Let us know. We'll bring our cameras. It'll be crazy. It'll be fun.
Or better yet, just agree to join us when we ring the bell for HumanizeHer.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be big. Watch out. So with that, you now are a founder and CEO of Veric. So how is that going? How did you decide to start this company? And I know there's some pivot stories in there as well, because I'm sure it was a perfect opportunity. I'm going to start that. It's going to be great. And it's been up and to the right ever since. So
of course,
right?
With every one of those. On the up and the right, I actually have another story, and I'll get to the up and the right with the startup as well. Right after business school, graduating from one of the top business schools in the world, one imagines that one gets a title raise, a pay raise, and all of that. Well, I decided to go from being the director of engineering to being an individual contributor, product manager, because I wanted to move to product management and in a mobile software startup. And so that also came with a 40% pay cut because you're paid in equity, not in cash. I remember agonizing about this decision before I took it. And I asked Jana Rich, who is someone else you should have on the show now, established Rich Talent Group, and has been behind the journey of several executives. I met her at an event at Stanford, and I said, "Is this going to look really bad on my resume? I was a director of engineering. I did my MBA at Stanford, and now I'm going to be a product manager." To which she said, "If this is a short-term move that you're unsure about, don't do it. But if this is a long-term move, a function that you want to go to, an industry that you really like, you will just move so quickly because of the base that you have that it's not going to matter." And sure enough, today, if you look at my LinkedIn, your eyes will be drawn to director of engineering and then director of product management, because I did get back up there pretty quickly thanks to all of the mentorship that I got. And then you will see managing director of Facebook India, then you'll see investment partner. So it looks very linear.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But if you read again, there will be those lines that also says individual, like senior product manager, group product manager, and director of engineering. So and it's actually written right there, but all that you see is a linear journey.
Yeah.
And so, I think for all of us, being open to those career pivots, those journeys, knowing that it's not a ladder, it's more a jungle gym. And so it's the career gym that you go through, and to do things not because of what society tells you that should be done, but really doing things because you choose to do it. So don't let the shoulds drive you. And so fast forward to my current role at Verix. So finished 3 years at SoftBank, had deployed $1 billion for them, seen companies go public, and being in this whole entrepreneurial setting, it was the builder at heart that again began to speak to me. I was seeing what was happening with AI. I was seeing what was happening with blockchain. And my general rule is that if I'm waking up to a thought more often than not, we always have thoughts about what one might do. But if I'm thinking about it 3, 4, 5 times a week, I need to go listen to what that voice is saying and to dig deeper.
Like there's a reason for that.
There is a reason for that.
Listen to that inner voice. That's what some people say. And they also say that gut or whatever that is. You can describe it in multiple ways. But I love that you're like, name it, and then you got to go after it.
And so I double clicked on that, and it was that urge to build. The company itself came about pretty organically because I was just thinking about what's next. I started talking to my co-founder, who was then still at Meta at that time, about our vision for the future. And when I found myself jamming late into the evening, 3 a.m. in the night, he was based in Singapore at that time. Again, it was one of those action speaks louder than word. And I decided I'm going to go build this company. It was very important to me to have a very successful fundraise. For better or worse, no one asked this of me, but for better or worse, I carry the burden of all female founders on my shoulders, and I feel I have to be successful for all female founders.
Right.
And so it was very important to me to have a successful fundraise. We wanted to raise a 5 million seed, and I feel very humble that we were very oversubscribed, have the most amazing investors. We closed on a 9 million seed, which set us up very strongly for what we wanted to do. And the first goal, it was about creator monetization. My co-founder came from running the creator economy for Facebook Asia Pacific. And we saw the problem where different platforms, the gap between what the creators are giving to the platform versus getting consistent, sustainable revenue. There was a gap. We said, let's solve this. And we wanted to use the power of blockchain, where for the first time you had authenticated digital assets. Can we use that technology to be able to solve that? So that's where we started. And it was all about livelihoods. And what we saw, actually 2 things happen. One, the week that we raised was the whole FTX disaster, where, again, cryptocurrency, blockchain took a big turn, big tumble. It eroded the trust in the market, and creator economy is all about, and users are all about trust. And so while while we had hundreds of creators transacting on the platform, we began to see actually more of a pull from the enterprise side. And then as of last year, we said we're now being an enterprise company where our goal is to be the trust technology. The analogy is just like how DocuSign changed how signature handling is done. How can we be that verification layer where there is a issuer of something that needs to be trusted, a recipient and someone who verifies? What can we do there? And our big focus, and that can apply in many, many scenarios.
What's a real use
Yeah,
example?
yeah,
So
yeah.
people
No, awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So we end up doing a lot of work with skilling organizations, and there's a whole wave of micro credentials, of skill-based hiring, of apprenticeships, so we work with the likes of companies where like DevRev is a new unicorn company in the Valley. If someone takes their DevRev University courses, they get a Verix verified certificate at the end of it. So whether it's examples like that, or it's examples like actually Stanford did some of their course commemorative certificates on our platform. Today, actually, if you take a Stanford online course, their credential is on blockchain.
Yeah.
And they're very clear that the future of credentialing is in this immutable, permanent technology that can be globally verified. That initial deployment predated us, but we do a lot of the newer work with them. So whether it's work with them, whether it's DevRev, or one of my favorite examples, Erica and Elizabeth, is where credentials are offered where there's no formal credentials, and it really accelerates lives and livelihoods. So we partnered with Netflix, where Netflix was giving credentials to videographers and copywriters in a way that accelerates their journey. One of the recent partnerships we announced was with a company called Karya, where they have 100,000 workforce doing things like data labeling and training models. Again, there's no formal credentialing there. How is it that we can offer those formal credentials? And his whole focus is lifting people from poverty in India and offering them almost like 5 times more in terms of their wage than what they would otherwise get. Right? So those are some of the areas that we work with. Think continued education credits, which is all broken, and like things that have been set up for a long time, especially if you think about blockchain plus agentic AI workflows. What can we do there in terms of automating and really enhancing that whole experience? And also beginning to do work on the business verification side as well. So when you want to ask the question, is this real? Our goal is, yes.
Yeah, you got Veric.
It is not real unless it is Veric.
Well, I think it is true because, I mean, now with AI, it's like there's also what is real anymore.
Totally.
I mean, you can create anything and the tools are so powerful. So now that you're creating technology to do authentication and verification, that is so critical. It's needed more and more. So here you are, started this company. It's moving along. Have you had any setbacks just personally and professionally yourself in this role, or I know there's also an opportunity with Kiran, which I want to talk about too. But what setbacks have you experienced in this situation?
So I would say that the pivot is something that I think a lot about, in that while every entrepreneur goes through this journey of starting somewhere, and they say entrepreneurship is all about seeing the opportunity and adapting quickly. And each of my investors are super happy about what we're doing right now, and see where we're going. It does sit heavy on me personally, where I feel, oh my God, I lost 9 months in that pivot. And so again, one is the burden of the female founders that I carry. And then after that is also that, oh my God, I have to really pick up the pace because I lost those 9 months.
Those 9 months, you were working on a different problem, basically, and then pivoted the company
Why
to
do
do
you
entirely.
consider it lost, though? Did you had to have learned something?
I know. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it's the infrastructure is the same infrastructure that we use for a different use
That's
case.
good.
Totally, right? And so that is the other side.
Change your mindset. Not lost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's always a learning. And there's, but could we have done that faster?
Could you, yeah, you always want, and that's the learning. Could you
Yeah.
accelerated it? And so
Right.
it's like, hey, that's where loss is also, or no, and that's amazing. So now there was also an announcement that just like kind of popped up on my LinkedIn feed
Just
about,
kinda.
it just kind of was like, what is this thing with Kirthiga and Kiran and AI? And it was like explosive. So can you talk about what this other endeavor that you're working on with Kiran? That'd be great.
Yeah, and the endeavor actually came from what we were seeing at Verix, because
Okay.
with Verix, we are sitting in the middle. We are working with schools, we're working with universities, we are working with companies like Amdocs who use us for some of the skilling initiatives, so we sit in the midst of this whole industry across the learning journey. We work with a lot of membership organizations. Anita B is one of our
Okay. Native Borg
new
Institute. It's
Yes.
part of the Grace Hopper Conference. It's
Absolutely.
been around for so long.
Yes.
Yep.
So we sit in the midst of that ecosystem, and going back to the importance of being early and women being early. Otherwise you're looking at stats like 100+ years for us to get to gender equality, equity goals. And so thinking about how is it that we can neutralize the gap for women and get them in early, we just announced a partnership with the government of India called AI Kiran, which is about, similar to what we're doing here, one about spotlighting. Kiran is light, shining the light, so light in Hindi. So how can we shine a light on women in AI in India, start with that, and then develop and grow that community. Today, if you do a Google search, a ChatGPT search about women in AI in India, you might get 20 names. If you really search hard and go look up lists that were created, maybe you'll get to 50. But there are certainly more women than that in working in AI in India. So we launched with an initial list of over 250 women who are working in India, and very soon we'll get to over 500, and this is in a matter of a few weeks since we released it. We're bringing together a cross-functional group, so it's not just technology, it's people who are doing academia, AI in research, AI in policy, so bringing a very diverse group together because the problems of today need that multidisciplinary thinking, and also from the beginning having a global connect. So we're thrilled to be partnering with organizations like SheTO.
Yeah,
where you've spoken.
Denise, yeah,
Yes.
she was on the podcast too.
Yeah,
So she'll be coming
Amazing.
soon.
There you go.
Yeah.
So organizations like SheTO that have come together to enable that global connect. NA3 is another organization of South Asian women. So that's the goal, is to put that spotlight, develop, grow the community. India is projected to have a shortage of over 1 million skilled people in AI by 2027. So we have to ramp up, and women have to be there in equal force.
They definitely have to be there in
Yeah.
equal force. So that's fantastic. And if we need to go to India and help you in any way, let us know. We'll be there.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
fantastic. So another thing so thank you for sharing that, and all the best of luck. It's going to happen. You make everything work. So it's going to be great, especially with all your connections in India. I mean, it's amazing. You also have a family. You have 2 beautiful girls that you shared with. I want to talk a little bit about, when you're making choices to decide to do X or Y, and how have you made some of those decisions in your life, and what kind of feelings? We talked a little bit about it before we started here, but you wanted to talk a little bit about guilt. I'm sure you've never had any guilt as a
Mom
parent.
guilt?
Yeah, nothing like that, right?
I really want to hear about it as a new stepmom.
As a new spot.
Of how
it's
do you
true.
balance your time, and are you spending it in the right place? It's just,
Right.
it's always hard.
2 things that come to mind, or 2 anecdotes, 2 pictures, images that come to mind immediately. One was, having this sense of, with all my travel, that I actually did not have any idea what my girls were learning in school. Like literally, I had no idea what. And it kept bothering me. I said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they're doing. What are they learning? Okay. And then one day I said to myself, I either have to do something about it or I have to stop feeling guilty. I don't want to be in this situation. So I've learned also to listen to myself. And if something keeps bothering me, to stop and say, okay, deal with it. Like, act on it. Don't just sit and stew on it. And in that particular example, as I decided to do something about it, I looked into the situation, and my husband was completely on top of their homework and completely knew what they were doing, which led me to the conclusion that if they have two parents doing the same, they will go crazy.
That's true. Two people all up in their business.
I know. So I didn't need to do that. And instead, what we did was we actually set a goal of 40 hours of community work together with the girls. That was my goal with them. So they was taking care of the homework. God bless him. I had a different goal with them. And so with the girls, we went to orphanages. We did community service in different places that needed help. And it was beautiful. And I have my memories of my own in addition to that. So that's one, just deal with guilt.
And a special bond that you're building.
And a
with them
special
through
bond.
that. Yeah.
And so the girls have just grown up volunteering because of that. And volunteering is just part of what they do. It's just what they know, right? But, oh my God, I also remember once going to their school where this is the annual showcase. And this was actually at the end of summer. And two things happened. The parents said, "Oh, you're Kirthiga. You're their mom. I've never seen you."
That must make you feel so great.
So that was one. And then two, my little one, Arya, had an assignment to do a flip book of their experiences over summer. And the flip book, I looked at the flip book. There were pictures of her having ice cream with her father, with a sister, and the whole flip book. I wasn't there. And I wasn't there, right? And it broke my heart, right? But then fast forward, actually, I actually asked the girls, I said, does it, now they're 22 and 19, and I tell them, I said, you can tell me like it is. I mean, really, I will not be upset with whatever you tell me. Do you resent the fact that I wasn't there during those early years? And my older one says, Mom, you used to travel, go to the United States. You used to get us the best candy. We were the most popular kids in class. We were good, right?
Wow.
And actually, they both said, you were always there when we needed you. And that to me is very meaningful. So really figure out from your kids where they need you, where they want you, because you might be overthinking something where they don't, or you may be underthinking something where they really need you in some place and you're not there for them. Yep. So have that dialogue. Kids are very good at telling you what they need. Yep. I actually worry more about the spousal relationship because I feel the kids get what they need. It's the spouse or the partner that you almost take for granted and you say, yes, you're adult, you can deal with yourself.
Yeah, go figure it out.
Exactly. And that's what needs like more special time and more special focus. But as they say, guilt management is as important as time management. And I learn a lot from how Dave, my husband, deals with this, where, another last example that I'll share with you was Facebook India. The whole office was going to go for a movie, Dark Knight Rises. I so vividly remember on a Friday evening. And I was sitting in my office. We had this beautiful open space. Meta didn't believe in having cubes, so it was just one open space. Thinking about, do I go to this movie? I've just come back from travel. It's a Friday evening. I haven't seen the kids. So I made the decision, yes, let me do this because I hadn't spent time with the team either. And we don't usually go for these movie gatherings that often. So I call my husband and I say, I'm going for this movie. He says, great, have fun. And my immediate reaction was, oh, no. It's not really fun. I really want to come home and spend time with the girls. So, I'm doing this because I have to do it and spend time with the team. To which he said, oh, if you don't want to do it, then come home and spend time with the girls. To which my reaction was, oh, no. I really want to go because my team doesn't do it that often. At which point he said, stop. He said, I don't overthink it this much. If you want to go for the movie, go, be present, have fun. If you want to come home, be present, have fun. Make a decision and make it work. And I think that is such an important lesson to not overthink things. And whatever you're doing, do it, be fully present, make it work.
And be confident in the decision
Yes.
that you're making. But I love how you phrase that. Guilt management is just as important as time management.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's a quote card, ladies. That's a good one. No, and I also think that you mentioned like quality over quantity of time, but it's so hard because you want to be there for everything. Who doesn't want to be there for that person that you love and your family? But you can't be there everywhere. And then you also realize they necessarily don't need you at every single moment, and they actually need that breathing room, especially as they're getting older. But I think the most important is like understand when they do, you drop everything. And I know I know a lot of stories where you dropped everything for your girls, and so I think that's amazing. It's when you were saying the flip book thing, I was like, and say, do you see this?
Yeah.
Do you remember I wasn't in it? I'd probably bring that to the surface.
And I think you have such a good point. They're going to be vocal about it. I remember when I first became like stepmom mode, I was at a conference at Grace Hopper, actually. And my stepson had asked me, can you make it back for this family movie night on the lawn that my school does? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I fly back that day. I'm not even going to be home till 9:00 till it's over. And I could hear the disappointment in his voice. He's like, oh, okay. And I got on the phone with our travel people. I'm like, can I fly back early? Can I make it? My husband picked me up from the airport after work, and we went and we picked him up, and I was there.
Oh.
And it was like, he vocalized that he really wanted me there for that. So I changed my whole schedule to make it happen because I knew it was important to him. And that's going to be a moment he'll remember. So I think as long as you're making time for those moments, that's what they're going to remember. And that's what matters.
And you have to stay attuned to that. You have to be listening. I think back to some of the early points. It's like, you have to. And it's hard. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss some of those cues too. So we do the best we can. And
sometimes you can't make it work. And that's just the reality of it.
And that,
but you make up for it later.
We're all trying.
Yeah. I think the hardest decision that I made was actually the daycare choice that I had to make for my first child.
Yeah.
I was at business school. She went to daycare, I think when she was 12 weeks old. And I did so much research, interviewed everyone, again, to find the perfect one. I have, hired people, fired people, started businesses, shut down businesses, all of that. But the hardest decision will remain that daycare.
Who's going to take care of
Yeah, who are you going to trust to do that?
I remember taking her to the daycare, and as I handed her over, my tears were streaming. And the caregiver looked at me and she said, your baby is going to eat and sleep and will be fine. You figure out if you are going to be fine.
So true. And it's true. It's actually when they don't remember much.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It reminds me of your story with your mom saying, they're not going to remember that.
I know. She's like, do you remember anything that happened during that time? I'm like, no. It's like, okay, good. Not going to remember. Okay, I'm going to go back to work.
For you is harder.
Fine. That was my logic. Okay, so Kirthiga, I could talk to you for so long. But thank you so much for coming here. And one of the things that we like to wrap the podcast with is, are there any women that you'd like to elevate or, anything? This is your platform. Pay it forward. Do whatever you want.
So many women. One, of course, my mom for all, for having the foresight of not making the same decisions that she did. And by the way, she's wiser, smarter than I ever will be. And if she had that opportunity for education, would have been a kick-ass CEO somewhere. So one, her. And I delight in the pride that she has when she sees her daughter on the cover of a Fortune magazine or ringing the bell. But then it also gives us the huge sense of responsibility of how much better we need to make it for the next generation. The next generation also inspires me in that my daughter, when she was 9 years old, had to write an essay about who inspires you. 9 years old. And she wrote this essay saying, inspiration needs to come from within. I'm like, really?
What?
I just got my whole body got weird chills. I was like, what?
Right.
9?
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful.
Really?
Wow.
And so by the way, they also keep me grounded. When I said I'm writing a book, the first question they asked was, so who's going to read your book? Like, who will read your book? So they keep me very grounded. And the little one for me gives me an inside peek into technology trends and what is coming. And so she has significantly influenced my career and as an investor and as an executive, which has been great. From a professional perspective, again, so many, and many male allies along this way
yeah, I love that.
as well, where, when I changed my role from running operations to running sales, I'd never really done sales before. And it was someone then, whether it was, Dan Neary, who was the VP at Asia Pacific, or Carolyn Everson, who used to run all of global sales, who really gave that opportunity and took a bet on me, right? And also nurtured me and gave me that platform and that mentoring to do it. And Erica and Elizabeth, I think if I also had to talk about, I know you spoke about struggles. One struggle might be the pivot one, but the other one that I will share is as I made these role changes, certainly there were moments of I'm sitting and I'm doing sales now.
Yeah.
And I've never done forecasting and tracking before. And I am, my peers are all people who have done sales for 20 years, but I've done engineering, I've done operations. So I'm having to pick up basic skills that someone would have picked up like 20 years ago. And then thinking about, again, going back to leaning into what's bothering you, where I remember a day where like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Then it's like, okay, so how am I going to figure out how to do this? And bringing together, then tapping into your village or your community. And we had an incredible sales leader called Jane Lung, who ran Facebook for Hong Kong and Greater China region at that time. So she actually came to India, was with me for a week, and taught me the ABCs of sales as an executive, right? Nice. So whether it's things like that or fast forward, even my role at SoftBank, coming in, I did not know what a term sheet looked like, what pari passu, senior lick prep, all of these different terms meant. So it was about like learning a new financial literature and language to learning new industries. I was selling ads, and the first sectors I had to look at was quantum computing, additive manufacturing, and I had a thesis around tech-enabled mental wellness that I wanted to look at. So it's a different function, it's a different industry, it was a completely different culture. And so it took a lot of learning to get there. And I'm very grateful for people, in this case at SoftBank, Deep Nishar, formerly from LinkedIn.
Deep Nishar. Yeah.
Was my sponsor there and sat down with me and said, let's walk through a term sheet. Let's ask me your questions, right? So it's truly incredible to be able to have that sense of allyship, sponsorship, mentorship. And maybe the last person that I will mention here is Sheryl Sandberg, back to also making transitions. I remember when I got the role, asking her, telling her, Sheryl, I want to be a game changer for Facebook. What's the advice you would have? She said, Kirthiga, you haven't grown up in the operations organization, so be sure you spend time understanding the nitty-gritty of what that function is, because that is what will give you the power to operate at a 40,000-foot level. So I really took the time to understand. I used to sit down with people who were handling queues. How do they find impersonation, hacking? What do they do with it? And I would be able to do each one of those things, albeit much more slower than the team that did it day in and day out, but I could do it. And that was truly what gave me the power. And so fast forward, even at SoftBank, I remember doing all of the valuation modeling for the first few deals myself, so much slower than the associates who would do it. And I asked them more questions and then they could just do it themselves. But it was just important for me. And so, make sure you understand the nitty-gritty of what the function involves is a piece of advice that Cheryl gave me that has stood me at really good stead in all of these transitions that I've made.
I love that. And it's like basic foundational information so you can have the cred and you can build upon it, like you said. And I think probably what's frustrating is like it's so slow and it's so basic, but the basics basically give you that liftoff of being able to excel, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's great. And I love that you are the first guest that actually did kudos to a male ally. So amazing. Good.
There we go.
All right, there you go. And then also Sheryl Sandberg has been listed multiple times. So we're going to have to get her on here. Yeah,
absolutely.
We're gonna put it out there in the universe. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic. And with that, that's a wrap. Thank you. Humanize Her would not be possible without the crew behind the scenes. Ash Blodgett, our director and creative producer, for guiding us with expertise, creativity, and passion. Becky Davis, our talented director of photography and creative producer, for bringing our stories to life with stunning visuals. And Kristen West, our director of brand and design, for creating an emotional brand identity. To our listeners, we're on this journey together, and we love hearing how this podcast has helped you. It keeps us going, so please keep sending us your stories to her@humanizeher.com to be featured in upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to help us with this movement, please support by rating and subscribing. Until next time.